This is a review for Management 310, Chapter 9, Test 3. Let's go. First term is 360-degree feedback, and this is ratings from stakeholders to help employees improve. And this whole chapter is focused on feedback and ratings. So 360-degree feedback is really supposed to be for the employees' benefit. It's not like just dogging on the workers. It's when the stakeholders, so like it could be customers, managers, higher ups, anyone gives feedback where they actually are like, this is how you should improve, not they did this wrong. Next is a calibration meeting. So this is when groups of managers come together to discuss ratings. They'll give employees before they come out. And this is mainly for two reasons. One, just to make sure everyone's on the same page, like this is how an actual person is doing, but also to make sure like the rating scales are correct. Like if someone's version of a 5 is someone else's version of like a 7, you wouldn't want that. So it's just basically to get management on the same page. Next is critical incident method. And this is when managers identify high and low incidences of performance level. And it's in narrative form, so it's like written out, but critical incidents method is basically like critical, meaning like most important, so the highest, like the best jobs, and the lowest, and then incidences are just like occurrences, and then method, it's when the managers like go through and talk about, okay, this is what happened, this is good, this is bad, but at like the highest. So they did an exceptional job and sold 100 cars this year. I don't know if that's good for sales, but or bad, like okay, they sold 0 and customers said they'd never return because they were so rude. It's like the highest points. Next is central tendency error. And there are a lot of types of rating errors that we're going to go through, and central tendency error is basically the tendency to rate all employees about the same. So if someone were to ask you, oh, how'd Jessica do this year with the company? Oh, she was pretty good. What about Michael? Yeah, he's a decent employee. It's just thinking everyone is pretty good, but not pretty bad, like just mediocre. Next is feedback culture, and this is a culture, a workplace environment where feedback is welcomed and appreciated. Next is forced distribution, and so this is when rating employees, you have to put a certain amount in good, a certain amount in moderate, and then a certain amount in poor. So this could be unfair, like even if someone did really well, you gotta distribute it evenly. So that would be forced distribution. Next is frame of reference. So this is when raters, not raters, but raters, people rating, observe videos of circumstances and give ratings, and then they find out what professional raters have actually rated those circumstances. So it's basically acclimating, so getting the raters accustomed to what is actually a 7 performance, what's actually a 4, kind of to get everyone on the same page without having a meeting. Next is the halo error. And so this is letting 1 or 2 positive categories of someone's work influence their entire performance. So let's just say someone's really nice and they're good with the customers. That's a good category, but if they're like, don't know how to work a cash register, always losing money, messing up the store supplies, always late, halo error would be to give them a really good rating as an overall employee, just because they can do one category good, but they're really not that good of an employee. Next is the leniency error, and this is the tendency to rate most employees highly. So on our last page, we learned about the central tendency error, so this is in the middle, and then leniency error is on the high end, so you rate everyone good, like, oh, how'd Susan do this year? Oh, she did great, like, so much improvement from last year, like, she's working her best, she's trying to, like, when someone's not doing that good, like, it's just to say they're doing super good, and to be, it could be over positivity, but you really want to be, like, objective when doing management ratings. So that's the leniency error. Next is management by objectives, and this is a strategy where organizational goals are translated into department goals. So what this basically means, organizational, meaning an organization, their overall goals gets influenced into each management department. Next is performance appraisal, and this is a measurement of employee performance, and you can compare this to team appraisal, and this is a measurement of performance of a team. That's just what you got to know for the difference. Next is performance improvement plans. So this is plans that keep keep employees accountable for performance, and it not only it's supposed to improve performance, but it's supposed to give you something measurable so you can see, okay, someone's actually doing a good job or not. Next is performance management. And so this is the actual act of implementing programs, such as the one we just learned about, performance improvement plan. So performance management, you're like a management specialist in getting workers to follow that plan, basically. You don't have to be a specialist, any manager can do it, but that's the area it focuses on. Next is the recency error. This is interesting. I think these errors are so interesting. Just raters making the mistake of rating the employees based on their most recent job performance. So this would be like, someone's really doing a great job like this past year, but in these last 2 weeks, just stuff has gotten crazy. They've had a couple maybe circumstances back home or accidents at work, and so you give them a super bad rating because that's the most recent thing they've done. That would be a recency error. Next is a severity error. So this is the tendency to rate all employees poorly. This is interesting too. This is like on the other end where you're just like hypercritical. So Lucas just never does enough. He's slacking off. I just feel like he's not trying his best. He's lazy. You gotta be objective. That would be saying that negativity about everyone, just giving everyone very poor ratings. Next is, oh, this kind of hit me just now. It's, at first I was like, with forced distribution, that seems like kind of a bad idea, but forced distribution may be used to remove errors, like if someone has to be in every category. That's interesting, because I thought that's forced distribution kind of seems like a bad idea, because if a lot of people are doing good, you don't want to put them in moderate or low, but that's interesting. Okay, sorry, that just came to me. SMART goals, so goals that are, and then this is the acronym, specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based, or time-bound. So I'll have a little analogy. Trying to run a 7:30 mile as an athlete, well, even not as an athlete, that might be a little slow as a healthy person, is a SMART goal. It's specific. Run a 7:30 mile. It's measurable below a certain time and a certain distance. It's attainable, 7:30. It might be a little quick. I don't actually know if I could do that right now, but it's an attainable goal. It's relevant if you're an active, sporty gal or a healthy person. This might be a good goal. And then it's a time-bound application would be by 2024 or before my next rec soccer game or something like that. To put in a time frame to it. And only one more. Oh no, we already covered it. Cool. Good luck on the test.